Hey everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new to Fusion 360 or even just starting your journey into 3D design and CAD, you're in the right place. Here on this channel I break down the world of computer aided design into clear, beginner friendly tutorials, whether you're a student, hobbyist or just curious about designing your first 3D model. In this video we'll cover the basics of Fusion 360, how the interface works, how to sketch, and how to turn those sketches into solid models. By the end of this tutorial, you'll have built your very first 3D part, and more importantly, you'll understand how Fusion 360 works the way it is. So, if that sounds good, make sure to hit subscribe, give this video a like, and let's jump straight into this video. So we're going to be designing a basic chair, as shown here, very basic to make, and then we're going to be making a more complicated version that's fully rendered. Before we go into designing, I'll first show you what features are available on Fusion. So if we head to our top left, we have our list of workspaces. So first we have our design and generative design tab. This is where you'll be designing. And then we have our render tab to use to render those 3D models. Then we have animation, show exploded views. And then we have simulation for quality assurance and using FEA. And we have manufacture, designing toolpaths for CAM. Then we have our drawings for engineering drawings and electronic drawings, but today we'll just be focusing on the design and render tabs. Up here we have our other tabs. We've got solid, surface, mesh, sheet metal, plastics, utilities and manage. So we will just be using solids today. So within solids we've got create sketch. This is used to create your initial 2D sketches, and then in order to make them 3D we use the extrude tool. So within create there's a lot of other things. We've got revolve, hold, and a lot of different other processes we can use, and each process a little explanation. So then we have our modify tab. This is where you can change the 3D design by editing it by using tools like fillet and chamfer, and then also change the appearance by changing the material. Then we have the assemble tab where we can use joint to join two components together. Then construct to create planes when sketching. Then we have inspect. Inspect is used to show like the measurements of each lengths, and then we can also use for section analysis when we're using more complicated designs. Then we have the insert tab to insert different fasteners, and so yeah, we'll mainly be using the create and modify tab for today. So we have our browser here. This is where your different components and bodies will show up of each 3D model you make. So if we head to our top right here, we have this little cube. This cube allows us to maneuver around the design, to see the different faces around the axis, and you can see the bottom and the top and all different sides around the shape. We then have the little home button as well, which allows us to return to the original home position of the design. And then we also have the pan and orbit at the bottom here. So orbit allows you to, it's the same thing as the cube, but it allows you to change the pivot point. So if you click anywhere on the screen, it allows you to change it. It allows you to see the different sides of it. So down here we have the timeline. This shows the different processes in the design process, and you can go back to different stages to see the evolution of it. And you can also watch it through a recording of all different processes, how it has changed. And what I find it most useful for is then going back and changing stuff in the design, which I'll use later and show you. So in the top left corner we have our undo, redo and save buttons, and we also have the file to open CAD files, create a new design and save it. Then in the corner we have our projects where the saved files will be. So yeah, so now we can move on to designing the basic chair, and I'll show you how to make that. So to start a new design, we need to go into the top right corner and click the little plus icon. This will open a new design window, and to start off we're going to start off with create sketch. So we're going to sketch the seat of the chair first. So once you click that, you choose which axis, and we're going to do the bottom one, which is the X and Y axis. So we now have a new tab called sketch. So we've got a create tab within it, which we'll be able to create different shapes, new designs. And there's another modify tab similar to solids, where you can use the fillet tools and chamfers, and constraints, where you can use constraints when it comes to designing. And so we're going to first off is create a 2-point rectangle, and we're going to create it by 400 by 400 mil. So as you can see, both measurements of each side of the square has 400 by 400, and then to confirm it, click enter on your keyboard, and there you go. So with the design of the chair, that's done, and as we can see, it's only a 2D shape. So in order to make it 3D, we finish the sketch, and it will return us back to the solid tab, and we can now use extrude. So extrude will be used to just make it 3D and extend one side of that plane. So we can extend it back by 50 mil by dragging it with the arrow, or manually typing it in. And we can also, if we see this little wheel, taper the edges as well, but we won't be doing that today. So on our little menu on the right hand side, we've got one profile that has been selected, so that is the profile that we've made on the sketch. And the operation, we're going to use new body. So there we go, we have our first 3D design, a little cuboid, and this will be the seat of the chair. So the next step is we're going to create the legs. So we're going to go to the underside of the seat and create a sketch on that surface, not on the axis anymore, on that surface. So if you click that surface, and now we can sketch the design of our legs. So if we create another 2-point rectangle like before, and this time we want to make it 75 by 75, but it doesn't automatically do it like it did last time, so we'll have to manually type it in. So using your keyboard, type 75 in, and it will automatically lock it. So that side, that length will automatically be locked, so you can adjust the other side as much as you want. And we're going to make that 75 as well, so now it's completely locked. So imagine if you wanted to move it and keep that square the same size, that'll be fine. And it also tells you the measurements. Now we do it on the other side, and same again, type in 75. If we also drag our cursor along the other square, we can ensure that it's the same length away and make sure it's in line. So we can use that with both squares in both corners. So if we use the top one, and then it should automatically align. So then we just do corner to corner, and it automatically be 75 by 75. So now we can use the extrude tool. So if we finish the sketch, or we can literally just go back to the solid tab and click extrude. So this time it hasn't automatically highlighted the profile like it did last time, since there's multiple. So we select the 4 we want, and using the arrow or manually typing it in, we can adjust the length. So do it to about 350 mil. This time we'll use the join operation instead of new body. I'll explain this later when it comes to rendering, but to keep it simple, we'll be using the join operation. Okay, so now we click OK, and that's the leg and the seat done. So our next step is to move on to the back of the seat, and to do this we create a sketch, but not on the axis this time, but on the surface at the top of the seat. So using 2-point rectangle again, from one corner to the other. This is going to be 75 by 400. So instead of manually typing in, we can also zoom in until we reach 75. And yeah, that should be right. And now extrude it to about 500 mil. The same operation as well, a join as well this time, and yep, click OK. Okay, and there we have our basic chair. But one thing I noticed, the seat is quite thin, so the way we can change that, we can use the extrude tool and just click on the underneath and extrude it, say about another 25 mil, and click OK. Or we can use the timeline, so we can go back to the process. So if we undo and then double click on the extrude, and it should take us back to that point, and then we can extrude it to about 75mm. Click OK, and it will update the new extrude length. So there we have our basic and beginner friendly chair. So the next step is the second chair, which will be a bit more complicated. It's rendered, uses modifying tools like fillet, and is using different shapes this time as well. So if we get into that by creating a new design, and same as last time, creating a sketch for the seat on the X and Y axis, and same size as well, 400mm by 400mm. So I have to zoom out a bit. Yep, that should be right. But this time we're going to change the design a bit, and we're going to use the fillet tool, as you can see in the design here, by using the fillet tool in the sketch. So to use the fillet tool, we can either click both edges of the corner you want it in, or you can click right in the corner, right there, and you can adjust the amount of the radius for the fillet, but I'm fine with that. So if I finish the sketch, and there we have a new design for a seat. Now we can use the extrude tool, and it'll be about 50mm high. Now we can use the 3D fillet this time and curve the edges. So if we click on that edge, it will automatically highlight it and adjust it to about 20-25mm. Click OK. That is our 3D fillet done, and that is our seat done. So the next step will be the legs. So the legs this time is a bit different. So we've got the two back legs are completely separate, and then the two front legs, they're part of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the front two legs first and deal with the back ones later. So we go on the underside, create a new sketch, and use our 2-point rectangle again, and create a 50 by 50mm square. So from that corner to, yeah, and then the other side, using the grid to know if they're equal or not. And yep, those should be fine. And then if we go to the solid tab, extrude, and this time I'm going to remove that little bit and have it a bit curved. So if we extrude that to about 350 should be fine. Okay, but this time in the operation, we're going to use new body. And this will be shown in the render. I'll explain why when we render it. But any new parts now, we're going to new body it or new component, and I'll explain why later. So now we move on to the back two legs. This time we're going to create a sketch, but make it separately from the seat. So I'll do over here, create a 50 by 50 square, yeah, and then extrude them. So we can extrude them upwards. But what we can do, if we use the menu and we see the direction tab over there, if you change that to two sides, then we can extrude from the bottom as well. So about 350, yeah, that should be right. So extruding from both sides, and then we have those two pillars there to use for the back legs. And this time we're going to make it as a new component. This is because they're this is a new component, they're separate from the seat. So we're going to have to use a joint to put them together, and to joint you need to make them two separate components. So now we're going to use a joint. So if we go into the assemble tab and click joint, and on the first component we click any position, probably the middle and the same side here, and those 2 points that you clicked, they will join at that point. Then you can adjust them if necessary, if they're out of line. So in this case it is out of line, so just use the arrows to move it about 5mm. Yep, they're in line. So check as well with the leg length as well, if both legs are equal. They're not, so raise that a bit by 25mm, and they are equal now. So now click OK, and that is the joint done. That is two components now joined together. All legs are done. So the next step we'll do is the headboard at the top. So create a sketch, but on that side of the pillar, and then you want to do a 2-point rectangle. This time I don't want to do it the exact same measurements as before, so with the same width and length of that pillar. So if I zoom in, I can see using the grid I want it 2mm away from the pillar and 10mm from the top, so that'll give me 46 at the top. So as I'm going down, it keeps flickering and moving, so to save me from doing that, I type 46 in manually by clicking tab to move to the other length that's highlighted. Now it's locked, so then I can zoom out, look at it, and then think, okay, 100 seems alright, and lock it in, and there you go. And then now we extrude that all the way. Okay. Also, if I do it a bit further and go into the other pillar, the operation will change to a cut. So this means it's cutting through that pillar, and then we'll see there's a huge gap here. This can be quite useful, especially if you wanted to drill a hole or any kind of hole for a joint or something like that. But if we go back to the extrude, and so as you can see, the operation is stuck in cut at the moment, so it's coming with an error. So to get around that, change the operation to either a join or a new body. In this case we'll stick to new body. And okay, so once you get the measurement correct, you click OK, and that is the headboard done. So okay, next step from here is to create another little support here just around the back. So this is quite simple, just creating a little square and then extruding it similar to the headboard but the same length and width. It's about 300. Change that to a new body and click OK. So then the next step is we're going to do a couple of pillars between that little support piece and the headboard. So if we click create sketch on that little support piece, and then instead of doing a 2-point rectangle, we're now using a circle. So this circle, it starts from the diameter, so you find the center of that using the grid and go out to about 30mm. That sounds about right. Then do another one, and then this time we're going to switch it up. If you go into the create menu, then hover over circle, and you can do a 2-point circle, so you're doing from edge to edge. So if you find the top edge to the bottom edge, and we just repeat that about 5 times. Okay, and that's done. Then we go back to solid and extrude, and then we just extrude it until it reaches the top of the headboard. It's a bit difficult to see. And yeah, and then we change the operation to new body. We click OK. Okay, so now we've got 2 more pieces to do, which is the support between the legs. So create a sketch on that face of the leg, and using the 2-point rectangle, create a square on both sides, and then we can go to solid, extrude, then click both faces, and then drag it to fill that gap, and change that to new body as well. Click OK. Then that's it for the design, and so the next step will be rendering. So there are 2 ways to render. We can go into the modify tab and go to appearance at the bottom, then wait for the little menu to pop up, and so we can change the appearance on either the bodies that we've created or on the faces. So if we click faces, for example, it will only change the appearance of the face. The body will change the whole body of that pillar. So if we go to wood, and let's just stick to oak and drag it to a certain body that's highlighted, it'll change the whole colour and texture of that. Other way we could do it, So if we undo and change the workspace to render, and then in the corner we have a little rainbow coloured, which is the appearance, same one as in modify tab, and do the exact same. So drag oak, keep doing it for all components. So because we made everything a new body, we do have to set the appearance separately for each body. So this is actually good because the grain direction is a lot more realistic, whereas if you had everything as one body, the grain will just be completely in one direction, so it gives it a more realistic look as the grain is a separate direction. So I've changed the appearance of all bodies, but now we have a little watermark, which is the symbol for the joint, which is a bit annoying, it's a bit in the way. So we can change that by using the browser. So if we go into the browser and go into relationships, this will show the joints, and if we click the eye icon, that will hide all the joints, or we can hide the specific one. So that will hide it and it's no longer there. Okay, so there we go. We head back to the design workspace, and there we have it, our final design done. That is the second chair. Okay, so that's the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think of this video, what you want me to do next, and anything else that you'd like me to cover. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Bye.